Hey guys, this is Bo with Music in Minnesota, and we're on the phone with Steve from the Weepies.
Oh my gosh, the cutest little boy, all covered with mud, just went upstairs. Oh my gosh. Are you okay, Kaylin? Thank you. Oh my gosh, awesome.
Hey, I want to start with just saying for the first time in 5 years, your band is heading out on tour again.
I know. It's about 3.5 years later than we wanted to, but we're really excited to finally be able to.
Awesome, yeah. So you and Deb have released 5 records over a 7-year span and sold more than 1 million records. But that's insane.
You know, when you put it like that, it sounds like I shouldn't be driving a Toyota. But yeah, we have. We're working hard.
But however, this last year has actually been extremely trying for you and Deb. 2013, Deb was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer.
Right at Christmas. And chemo started on New Year's Eve, 2014. But, I mean, it was horrible. I don't recommend it to anyone, but I know a lot of families go through this and go through it successfully. Mm-hmm. And we took a lot of solace in that community.
Sure.
And Deb is cancer-free now. You know, she beat it. We beat it with a lot of help from a lot of awesome people. And honestly, I mean, not to be trite, but I feel like we're stronger and more grateful now than we ever have been. We came out the other side.
And during this time, your youngest son was not even 2 years old yet?
15 months. 15
Wow.
months. And I think it was honestly, it was almost easier on him than it was on the 2 older boys. They were 3 and 5 when it started. Well, I guess he was almost 6. But anyway, now they're a couple years older, and they had a tough time because you sort of start to get it. Like, something's not right. You know, they built an MRI so that mom wouldn't be scared when she had to go for MRIs. They would cut her hair and shave her head so they could be part of it. But really deep stuff, and they came through it very well also. But I think it was tougher on them than the baby.
Were there a lot of questions?
Yeah, well, we try to include them in everything we do, and that's a tough one. But we did anyway. And there were lots and lots of questions. And I think we'll see a lasting effect on the family. It's deep and it's real. But at this point, it seems normal to them to have dealt with that, because you don't know what normal is at age 3, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it seems normal to them to have dealt with that sort of drastic change and pressure.
Sure.
I will say that I think we're a little in the dark ages about cancer. I think even though now they can cure so many more things, it's still so much non-information, and even doctors of other kind aren't recognizing very clear symptoms.
Yeah.
And the thing is that different types of cancer get research money.
Yep.
And others do not.
Mm-hmm.
And it is unfair. And
Absolutely.
see where the dollars go and where they don't. And we had to, we moved to Iowa, and our son was born prematurely. And the NICU unit, the neonatal intensive care unit, had just been finished here in Iowa City. And so they had literally 7 doctors to save his life, and they did.
Wow.
And then Deb got breast cancer, and they just finished the cancer center. And they saved her life as well. So in many ways, the move to Iowa was this crazy luck that they caught it, believe it or not, early. Even though it was stage 3, it was very small and aggressive, and it could have been much worse had they not caught it, and they did.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is super great. So she is in remission right now.
She hates that word. She says cancer-free. And the truth is that if you look at, so they went very drastic on her. They hit it hard. They hit it fast. And it was like her body got beat up.
Mm-hmm.
Different things work or don't work. But Deb now likes to point out that I have a better chance of getting breast cancer again than she does.
Yeah.
It also made me mad at medical marijuana, anti-medical marijuana activists. I'm very mad at them.
Oh, absolutely.
I have no patience. Well, I used to have patience for them, you know what I mean? Because I see the point of view that it's, stoners just want to get stoned. That's fine. But it has nothing to do with that.
So, if you don't mind me asking, is Deb taking part in medical marijuana treatment?
We went to Colorado several times to do it legally. Yes.
Cool.
But it's illegal in Iowa, and so we do not have it in Iowa.
Sure. Was that
But we were in touch with, there's a state senator out here named Joe Bolcom, who we met with and have given our support to because he is trying to get just the most basic medical marijuana ballot passed in Iowa in order to get the oil for epileptic kids.
Uh-huh.
That's the bill they want passed. And it has staunch opposition. But I just feel if you can help children that have epilepsy, you should.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if it costs you nothing. I feel the same about many other marijuana treatments for other people with debilitating diseases and the effects of chemotherapy. I saw it work. It just seems crazy. It seems crazy to me that anyone's against this. And by the way, we are not stoners. I don't even like pot. And the lack of information probably made Deb miserable for a month before we figured it out. By talking to the community, all of them was like, just go get some marijuana that will handle these specific symptoms during this specific time after chemo. It's a 1-to-1 ratio.
Yeah.
But you cannot make the argument that it does not help some patients manage their symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
It's you can't argue, and it doesn't hurt anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And and people are like, well, people could abuse the thing. People abuse Vicodin like you wouldn't believe. But we're not banning Vicodin.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Of course there's going to be abuse. There's abuse of anything. But this is something that helps people, and it seems to me just flat out crazy to not give it to medical patients. Sort of side note, we did not do it in Iowa. We traveled to somewhere it was legal to do it. And that inconvenience, we were lucky to be able to do. Because otherwise it would have turned us into felons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In order to manage cancer, which is just wrong. It's wrong. That's what I think.
Yeah, I couldn't have put it better, definitely. Excellent. Well, let's move on a little bit.
Absolutely. Sorry. I obviously, I was talking about like where I got angry. Like that was one of the only places I got angry. Because you have to get angry somewhere. Because you can't get angry at anything else. It's pathetic. Anyway, go ahead.
All right. So yeah, while Deb was in treatment, you guys were homeschooling your 3 children. Is that correct?
We were.
Okay.
Yes.
And on top of that,
Deb's the teacher.
Wow, Deb was the teacher?
Get a master's in education.
Really?
When I met her, she was teaching. Yeah, when I met her, she was teaching kindergarten and working at Starbucks and playing at the Starbucks that she was working at. How
did you guys juggle that on top of writing and recording your new album, Sirens?
How indeed? I don't know. It was great to have a focus, or 2 or 3 focuses that weren't cancer. The recording and the writing and the producing of the record was so great to have that stress come into our lives in a way that was really supported by the musicians who helped us out. People would show up on a Skype session at 7 in the morning because that's when we could do it. And then I would really organize our lives around Deb getting enough time with the kids that she needed, so the kids are getting what they needed, and then to try to get Deb 1 hour where everything was set to go. She could go and perform for an hour, 45 minutes, whatever she could handle, and it was flow. You know what I mean? In some ways, the record probably, this one is a little more thoughtful because we would only get 1 a day or 1 every 2 days, a take.
Mm-hmm.
But we also weren't stressed about it because we weren't making a record. We were just working. And we had no label, we had no management, we had no publisher. No one was saying, hey, you have to get us something now. We were just working. Because Deb made that choice. I said, Deb, what do you want to do? We don't know how the year's going to go. And she said, I want to homeschool the kids and let's work. Let's write and record. I said, fine, let's do it.
Wow. So,
I mean, we had a schedule. We would get up, and we would hang with the kids, and we would homeschool, and we had, you know, a great person helping us manage the little one, who basically lived with us, and then we had friends and family in every week. We have a house that's big enough that we have an extra, like a guest room, and that guest room was full all the time. And people came, you know, from our lives every week.
That's
there was
awesome.
Somebody here hanging out. But it was about, you know, that was hard. It also took us a couple months to get there, to ask people, we really need help. Would you just come and be here? I need 3 days.
Yeah.
Just come on. And they did. I mean, I'm tearing up just talking about it, but yes. Ask for help.
Something as costly as chemotherapy is, where does a full-time musician acquire health insurance?
You know, it is expensive, but I'm a paranoid guy when it comes to that, so we've had health insurance since we could afford a car. We make it a priority. We also live in Iowa now, so our mortgage is like $6. You know what I mean? Like, we're fine. I'm not complaining.
That's cool.
I'm not driving a Mercedes, but I don't care.
Yeah.
You know, if we got health insurance, we got a house. Awesome.
Excellent. Awesome. So, yeah, the Weepies recorded Sirens. It's 16 songs. Your songs are typically shorter than most, I've realized. Sitting around like the 2.5 minute mark or so. And this results in me playing your record over and over and over because I can't get enough of the first time around. So, is this what you intended on your listeners to do?
You are so nice. Thank you for saying that. And I have to say no. We're just emotionally ready to move on. You know what I mean? It's got to hold our attention long enough so that we're not bored. We write so many songs, and most of them just fall away and die because we get bored. The song has to have some emotional pull that keeps us in the moment. And I think that's why they're so short, because that's how long we want to live there. One that we wrestled together and then I made Deb sing, called Nobody Knows Me at All, that's one of my favorites. I think we captured something there. And I think we might have figured out how to write together sort of on that song, because we fought so bitterly, and I won.
I like that song.
I'm really proud of that one.
If there's one piece of advice you could tell your younger self, what would it be?
Wow. How young?
Maybe as you were a struggling musician or before you picked up the guitar.
Don't worry so much.
Yeah?
That's all. I'm a warrior. You know, it's just like, I think like many musicians, we just worry that we're not doing the right thing, and I think like a lot of young people, like, I'm going to blow it. It's going to be fun.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you so much for taking the time for this interview.
Thanks for being a great interviewer. Hey, this is Steve from the Weepies, and you're listening to Music in Minnesota.